Tonight, Americans hit the highway with one eye on the road, the other on their wallets. Travel, entertainment, and lodging. What you can expect this Memorial Day weekend. I'm Russ Mitchell. Also tonight, a CBS News exclusive, hunting the pirates.
This is coalition warship.
On patrol in the world's most dangerous waters, where no one wants to be the next hostage. And in Steve Hartman's Assignment America, a soldier's surprising story. Steve's father's.
We were going to invade Japan like they did Normandy.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
And good evening. Katie is off tonight. For many Americans, this is getaway day. And whether it's for a family visit or a vacation, in these challenging times, saving money is paramount. The AAA estimates more than 32 million people will travel more than 50 miles from home over Memorial Day weekend. That's up 1.5% from last year, thanks mainly to lower fuel prices. We have a team of correspondents covering every aspect of this holiday weekend, from entertainment to hotels. We begin with Sandra Hughes and the start of the summer travel season.
Rhonda Shelton is packing for the family's annual weekend getaway to nearby Palm Springs. But this year, she's paying closer attention to their budget. Instead of staying at a hotel, they've booked a condo with a kitchen.
You save a few $100s for your whole trip on just eating in.
It's the same story from coast to coast. Memorial Day trips defined by the recession. AAA estimates it will mean more car trips and fewer flights than last summer. 83% of Memorial Day travelers, that's 27 million people, will hit the road in a car, up from 26.3 million last year. Only 7%, 2.1 million people, will fly, a decrease of 1%. And the remaining 10%, 3.3 million, will use rail, bus, or other forms of transportation.
There are a lot of deals out there right now all across the country. Everything from airfare to hotels to resorts to cruises will cost you significantly less money than it did last summer.
Gas prices are lower, too. The current nationwide average price is $2.39 compared to $3.83 the same time last year. Jet fuel prices are also down, helping airlines cut fares 14% from last summer to $299 for an average domestic flight. Still, experts predict people will shorten the distance they travel and look for more deals near home at places like Legoland, California.
The staycation effect is happening, so we're seeing more guests from local destinations like San Diego, North County generally, but also from our main drive destinations, which would be Arizona, Northern California.
Last year, Legoland, California had record attendance and expects to exceed those numbers this year. Helped in part by discounts that can lower the $232 price for a family of 4.
If it was a full price for us, we probably wouldn't have been able to manage it, so it was a really good deal for us.
Despite the discounts, some can't afford to plan any trip this weekend.
No money. No money, got laid off in December.
Now, overall, this summer, Americans are expected to take 20 million fewer trips than they did last year, despite the increase of road tripping this weekend. Russ?
Sandra Hughes in Los Angeles, thank you very much. For the 9 in 10 Americans not traveling this weekend, an air-conditioned movie might be the best bargain around. Hollywood came of age during the Great Depression when movies cost about a dime. But today, even at $10 a ticket, the industry is beating the recession with a series of blockbusters. Anthony Mason reports.
If you film it, they will come.
Now that the recession's hit, it's been more often.
Behind blockbusters like Star Trek, the movies are boldly going where they've never gone before.
Next guest, please. We're on a record-breaking pace. We're going to hit $10 billion in revenue for the very first time ever.
Box office sales are up almost 16%. Nearly 500 million tickets have already been sold this year. Attendance is up 13%. After it actually fell in 2008.
I have come back to life.
And the summer blockbuster season, which accounts for more than 40% of box office, is just beginning.
To what do we owe this triumphant return?
Why is recession good for the movies?
Human beings need an escape.
Paul Garabedian of Hollywood.com calls it recession therapy.
And at $10 a ticket, that's pretty inexpensive therapy to boot.
But even the more expensive IMAX films are drawing bigger crowds.
Well, $20 for a ticket is a little steep, but you make exceptions.
So popcorn has become the comfort food of this recession. And Americans aren't just going out to the movies more, they're watching more movies at home.
Netflix, the rental company, has seen its revenue jump 21% this year after adding 920,000 new subscribers.
The rising tide floats all boats.
That's the way, really like it.
Comedies, adventures, even horror movies. They're all boffo at the box office.
I suppose the only movie that wouldn't play well right now would be like Mortgage the movie.
But if this recession were a film, stop! The movie industry might not want it to end.
Sweet rutabaga pie, that was divine.
Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
But the recession is a flop for another industry, hotels. Tourists and business travelers are cutting back on hotel rooms more than at any time since the September 11th attacks. Here's Michelle Miller.
Want to really get away?
Now is probably the best season to travel.
In big tourist destinations, hotels have resorted to slashing room rates. Stays in Las Vegas, New York, and Honolulu dropped by at least 20%. Nationally, the average room will cost you $142 this summer, down from $165 last year. And that's not all.
So you find many hotels are offering free breakfast. Some of the luxury hotels I've seen are offering $200 towards spa or golf. I've seen others that offer 3 nights for the price of 2. So it's a good deal to shop.
Deals are good because business is bad. Out of 4.5 million hotel rooms nationwide, occupancy rates are expected to slip below 56% this year, down from 60% in 2008.
We have like 3 room attendants in each floor. Now we only have 1 on each floor. That's how bad it is.
Beverly Banton has made up rooms at the Sheraton New York for 14 years and has never seen times so tough.
Overall, our business is down about 25%.
Her boss, Dan King, was forced to lay off or reduce hours for about 300 employees this year. 17 million Americans make their living from the travel and tourism industry, which creates 2.4 million jobs every year. Since the recession started, some 400,000 jobs have been lost. 1/3 of tourism dollars comes from business travel, and corporations are scaling back, canceling small meetings, large conferences, anything that might be considered extravagant at a time when companies are laying off workers. Fancy retreats are no longer in vogue in South Florida, where hotel reservations are down almost 12% from this time last year.
The sunshine is free and it's fantastic, but I think people feel almost guilty coming down and spending, if they have 2 free hours on the beach.
Those deals on the beach may not last beyond summer. The hotel industry is expecting a modest rebound in bookings this fall. Michelle Miller, CBS News, New York.
From struggling hotels to failing banks, Florida's Bank United reopened today with new owners. Federal regulators seized it yesterday and sold it off to private equity firms. The good news is no customer lost a dime, but the move will cost the FDIC nearly $5 billion. It is the 34th bank failure of 2009. Last year, 25 banks failed. Only 3 went under in 2007. And credit card customers will soon have fewer surprises on their bills. President Obama signed his measure today, limiting how much lenders can increase fees and interest rates. It orders companies to write all of their rules in plain English and post them online. The law, which takes effect next February, had a late amendment added, making it legal to carry loaded guns in national parks. Overseas now, and to a region whose waters are the most dangerous in the world. Right now, in the Gulf of Aden, there are 14 ships with full crews being held for ransom. Last year, an estimated $80 million was paid out. All are cargo ships and tankers which must follow this route, and attacks occur with terrifying regularity. Just today, an American ship was attacked off the coast of Somalia, where a sister ship was captured last month. CBS News correspondent Sheila McVicker was on board a Canadian Navy rescue vessel as the pirates attacked, and helicopters from her ship came to the rescue. Her exclusive story begins with a distress call from another cargo ship in the area.
In the Gulf of Aden, on board the Canadian warship Winnipeg this morning, the first calls came into the bridge from the cargo ship Maria K.
Still near, they're still shooting the rocket from
She's being hit by RPGs. Engineering wants to watch out for
This is clearly an act of piracy. If the merchantmen said that they saw rocket-propelled grenades being fired at them.
Maria K., Lebanese flagged, under attack by Somali pirates.
570, this is coalition warship. Copy. This skip is in position 1308 north.
In this stretch of pirate-infested water travel hundreds of merchant ships. We're here on the Winnipeg, one of a growing number of warships here to protect them.
So make sure you check your winds as we come up in speed. We want to be able to launch the helicopter.
The pirates move fast to prevent a hijacking. There is very little time for action. Within minutes, 3 naval helicopters are in the air.
Pirate skip is breaking off. They're heading to the northbound.
Suddenly, the pirates break off their pursuit of the Maria K. and head for an American ship. It's the Maersk Virginia, sister ship to the Maersk Alabama, hijacked last month. After U.S. Navy SEALs killed 3 of the Somali pirates holding hostage the captain of the Maersk Alabama, pirate leaders threatened retaliation. Maritime security sources said that greatly increased the risk to U.S. ships and U.S. crews sailing in these waters.
Okay, we're on the lookout for them now.
Yeah, Falco has just fired warning shots.
Naval helicopters forced these pirates to turn back, foiled, but still free to strike another day. Sheila McVicker, CBS News, on board the HMCS Winnipeg, the Gulf of Aden.
An update now on a story we brought you last night from our special series, Children of the Recession. Many people were moved by a report by Byron Pitts on 2 homeless boys, Tristan and Gus, whose families are staying in a cramped motel in Salinas, California. So moved, in fact, that donations have been pouring in. Tristan's mother tells us she can't use all the food she's received, and now she's sharing it with other families at the motel. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, Assignment America, and a war story only a son could tell. But up next, the president travels to Annapolis and meets a graduate with a very special history. Ensign, meet your commander-in-chief. It was a face-off like no other. President Obama and former Vice President Dick Cheney debating how to keep America safe from terrorism and highlighting the sharp differences between them. Bob Schieffer is CBS News chief Washington correspondent and the host of Face the Nation. And Bob, when you look at your scorecard in this battle of the Titans, who do you think came out on top?
Well, I must say that I think you have to give this one to the former vice president on points. The fact that the president had to make this speech after a heavily Democratic Senate turned him down when he asked for the money to close down Guantanamo shows that he has lost ground on this issue, and I think you have to give the vice president his due on this. He is the one who laid out the argument against closing it down. But I tell you what I found surprising, Russ, is that the president is a very smart political operator, and he has a very smart team. That's how he got to the White House. But they must have been resting on their laurels when they should have been working the phones, because they were totally blindsided when the Senate turned them down. They apparently had no idea the Senate was so overwhelmingly opposed to this, and frankly, that just shouldn't have happened.
Well, it is clear the president needs some help on Capitol Hill. It would appear that John McCain would be the go-to person on this. Is that correct?
Well, ironically, it may turn out that that's right. First, the president has to come up with a detailed plan on how to do this. If he can do this, I think John McCain and McCain's top advisor, Lindsey Graham, might help him on this. They do want to close down Guantanamo, but he has to come up with a plan. If he doesn't, nothing is going to happen here.
Bob, I understand you have quite a special guest on Sunday on Face the Nation.
Well, we really do. Colin Powell's coming by 2 weeks ago, and it was on Face the Nation that the former Vice President Cheney laid out his arguments and refined the arguments against closing Guantanamo. But he also told me that when it came to Republicans, he'd take Rush Limbaugh over General Colin Powell. I have a feeling General Powell may have some thoughts on both of those subjects, Rush.
Should be an interesting broadcast. Bob Schieffer in Washington. Thanks a lot.
You bet.
And we'll be back. On this Memorial Day weekend, we should remember that there are still 2.5 million surviving veterans of World War II still with us, but nearly 900 die every day, and often their stories pass with them. So Steve Hartman decided it was time to tell the story of a veteran he's known all his life. Here's tonight's Assignment America.
If you've seen any of the stories I've done with my dad, you know he'll talk to anyone.
That dog real?
About anything.
How much was gas in 1955?
But one thing my father has never talked about much is the war. Growing up, I knew almost nothing of my father's service. I think once I heard him say something about coming home from the war with a mouthful of metal. And there were some other clues, hidden way up in the attic of our house.
Now, you see that trunk back there?
Just from poking around up here as a kid,
Open that up.
I knew my dad was in the Army's 32nd Red Arrow Division. I knew he got a medal for serving in the Philippines, and I could only assume at some point he got close enough to the Japanese to capture a flag. Even more intriguing was an article I found in the local paper. It was written from an official Army press release touting my father's heroism. Private George Hartman, while under enemy fire, used TNT, dynamite, and flamethrowers to blast enemy troops from their caves high in the mountains of Luzon. Unfortunately, the release got a few things wrong. You never used a flamethrower?
Nope, never saw one.
Dynamite?
Nope.
TNT?
Nope.
The whole write-up was just Army propaganda, meant to boost morale back in Toledo. What in here is true?
Well, my name.
I learned, truth is, my dad spent most of his time working in a PX, selling candy bars and whatnot.
If you had access to candy?
Which finally explains
Makes sense. Yes.
The mouthful of metal.
That would do it.
Dental records show my dad got 12 cavities during the war. And as for the flag...
I don't know. Maybe I bought it. I don't know.
Turns out my father never talked about the war, not because it was too hard for him, but because it was too boring for him. Not exactly the Hollywood movie I was hoping to find. Although I believe this story still has a hero. In August of '45, no one in the 32nd Division was in the Philippines for candy bars.
We were going to invade Japan like they did Normandy. And I also believe that if Harry Truman wouldn't have dropped those atomic bombs, that I wouldn't be here today. Because I was a young soldier in an infantry division, which was going to hit those beaches like they did, say, at Normandy, and a lot of them didn't come back.
Sometimes, the only thing that separates the living from the dead is circumstance.
Some of us live, some of us die.
And sometimes, the only difference between a hero and an average Joe is opportunity. Of course, Memorial Day is about honoring those who gave their lives to this country. But this year, I'll also be taking a second to appreciate the many more who, for whatever reason, didn't have to. Steve Hartman, CBS News, Toledo.
And that's the CBS Evening News. For Katie Couric, I'm Russ Mitchell. Have a great weekend. Good night.